Radio 1392.5.
And now for something completely different.
We're going to bring it all together.
Because that's the bottom line.
ESPN Radio 1300, 92.5. Bottom Line with Brad Taylor, presented by StableDuel. Sports talk from a handicapping perspective. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning. We really appreciate it. Hey, Miss Judy, please take your meds this morning, or I might have to steal that little click bracelet that people are going crazy for on the internet for some unknown reason. You might want to check that out. 859-381-1313 if you'd like to call in and join in on the conversation. You can email the show anytime, bottomlinelex@gmail.com. And you can follow us on Twitter @BottomLineLex. On today's show, another cavalcade of stars as Brian Howard of StableDuel will join us again to give us his best Keeneland picks for today. Yes, they are running at Keeneland on a Sunday, but they won't legalize sports betting in this state. That's another topic for another day. And Worlds Collide a little bit later on as our resident golf expert here at ESPN Radio, Matthew Laurance, will join us at the end of the show to talk about Masters Sunday, always the biggest day and the best day of the golf season. We'll talk a little Reds baseball, and of course, our Mac Daddy Stogie picks brought to you by Jake's Cigar Bar, coming off another big day yesterday, giving you 2 out of 2 underdog winners in Major League Baseball. So we hope you went down to Jake's Cigar Bar and smoked a couple of stogies for that. All that and much, much more coming up on this week's Sunday edition of Lexington's fastest growing sports talk radio show. But first, Greg Norman, the Shark. People ask me where I come up with the stuff that we talk about on this show. We get a lot of positive feedback on, the subject matter we talk about because we're the only show in Lexington that tackles the topics that we tackle. Not everybody talks about point spreads all the time. Not everybody, and the tagline, sports talk from a handicapping perspective. And we get a lot of feedback on the research we do because, hey, I might stink on the radio, but at least we're prepared. But everybody that talks to me, they're a program director. I get this a lot. Your show doesn't sound like the other shows around here. Well, and then my line, that's a good thing. That's exactly what we're trying to accomplish here in the Bottom Line. If we tried to tackle and talk about the same topics that the other shows in town do, especially the fanboys across town at the Voice of the Cats, I wouldn't be on the air. Why would anyone doing this want to sound exactly like someone else? Find your own way, carve your own niche. That goes for anything in life. I'd rather die on staying true to myself than following the rest of the cattle to the slaughterhouse on the beaten path. But that doesn't keep people from asking questions about show content. This is a true story. I got multiple emails a few weeks ago on NCAA Tournament Selection Sunday, no less, about why we didn't talk about the UK rifle team winning the national championship on this show. Really? Well, God bless them, and all the best to them, and congrats on them for winning. I'm sure it was a win for the ages. But this is a big picture, big topic show. We're trying to pick some winners out in the desert at the same time. Look, last time I looked, I couldn't get odds on the UK rifle team out in the desert. So we play the hits on this show. In other words, Big Five sports, college pro football, college pro basketball, Major League Baseball, and anything transcendent. In 1997, Tiger Woods made golf transcendent. And for the next 12 years, there was no better golfer in the history of the game. You could take that Jack Nicklaus stuff and his 18 majors and stuff it because nobody dominated like Tiger did in his salad days. It was like Mike Tyson's early years when you thought he'd dominate forever and never lose. In fact, there's a great documentary on HBO or that HBO Max app right now that came out earlier this year on Tiger. If you're a golf fan or if you're just a fan of history and human nature, it's very interesting. But the bottom line is you won't hear us talk about the rifle teams on this show or sports you can't wager on out in the desert. In other words, if we can't make money on the next game, we probably ain't going to be talking about it. But golf is one of the fastest growing sports in terms of handle out in the desert. And of all the sporting events today, including Major League Baseball, there will be more wagers placed and decided on today's Masters final round than any other sport in the world. Now, that doesn't mean you should go look forward to first round coverage of the John Deere Classic, but Masters Sunday, yeah, that's worth it. Why? Because it's transcendent and people are betting it. Back in the prehistoric days before Tiger Woods, the Tiger Woods of the golf world is a guy named Greg Norman, the Shark from Australia. It's hard to imagine that it's been over two and a half decades now since he was basically the best golfer in the world. And he had it all. He had a look. He had that cool hat. Number one player at the end of the world 7 times at the end of the year. And 3 other times he was second in world rankings at the end of the year. But what is Greg Norman most remembered for? Choking in the biggest moments in the golf's 4 big majors. Now, sometimes he didn't choke. One time a guy holed a shot out from a bunker to beat him. Another time, at the Masters no less, a guy chipped from a shot from well off the green to beat him. But a lot of times, the pain that Greg Norman faced was self-inflicted. In 1986, Greg Norman led every major after 3 rounds. All 4 times he was leading on Saturday night, only to lose every one of them in the final round. And then the coup de grace of all of them was in 1996, 10 years later. He was still on top of the world 10 years later. That's 25 years ago, if you could believe it. He pulled quite possibly the biggest choke job in the history of not only golf, but sports as a whole, when he blew a 6-shot lead going into the final round of the Masters. I've seen a lot of teams and players choke in my day, but that one is right up there. I remember John Van de Velde. That's a name for you. You've never heard of him probably, unless you're a close follower of golf 20 years ago. Who is John Van de Velde? He was leading the Open Championship, or the British Open as they used to say, back in 1999. He had a 3-shot lead going into the final hole. I remember watching that live for some reason. And as fans, we love the car crash because we have to stop and look. Greg Norman at the 1996 Masters with a 6-shot lead going into the final round and blowing it. That wasn't just a car crash. That was a demolition derby multi-car pileup. But I remember before that final round in 1996, the media was gushing about Norman. Finally, the best player in the world was going to get his Masters green jacket. And you know what that reminds me of? Of recent times? Gonzaga basketball, just from the last week. Finally, they were going to get their much-deserved national championship after years and years of choke jobs and near misses. Some in the media were calling Gonzaga the greatest of all time, just like some in the media 25 years ago were calling Norman the greatest of all time. Although neither had proven that to be true. When Van de Velde choked that Open Championship, you never heard from him again. And as great as Greg Norman was after that 1996 Masters, you really never heard from him again. It was too painful. Equate that to today, and a man named Hideki Matsuyama has a 4-shot lead heading into the final round of the biggest golf tournament in the world. Before this tournament started, you could have got Matsuyama at over 50-1 to win this tournament. I saw 53-1 was the final number. 53-1. His best career finish in this tournament was 5th in 2015. That's the only time he ever finished in the top 5. And now he's going close to 4 years now without a PGA Tour victory. And odds makers and bettors alike all frustrated that one of the more talented players in the game just does not seem to win as much as he should. That sound familiar? It does to me. All that's fine and dandy, but that was before he tried to go to sleep last night with a 4-shot lead heading into the final round of the Masters. 4-shot lead, 11 under par, better than 4 other players at 7 under par for the tournament. Xander Schauffele, Justin Rose, the second-round leader, Mark Leishman, Will Zalatoris. Schauffele will now join Matsuyama in Sunday's final pairing. 25 of the last 30 Masters winners have come from the final pairing on Sunday. So you got to think maybe, if history says anything, it's Matsuyama or Schauffele. And of course, the Masters winner to come from beyond the top 5 on the leaderboard to win was Nick Faldo, 1985. Corey Connors, Jordan Spieth, those are the only guys that really have a chance to be in striking distance outside of the top 5. And the last 24 Masters champions have been within 4 shots of the lead going into the final round. So a lot of this numerology that we like to talk about in this show when it comes to team sports, with these individual sports, it seems to point to Matsuyama winning this tournament. And if you're holding a ticket right now on him to win, you've got him around 50-1. Maybe you hedge and take Schauffele in the final round in a head-to-head matchup, and then still maybe you win both bets. That's the way to do it if you feel like hedging. Schauffele, right now, his odds 5-1 to come from behind and win this tournament. And the rest of the other guys tied 4 shots back. They're all 10-1 or more. But Matsuyama is a favorite, an odds-on favorite to win this tournament. He's minus 120, minus 130, depending on where you shop. The Masters on Sunday, and it might be a little cheap because history tells us, other than Greg Norman, this guy looks like he's going to win this thing. The problem is the situation for him. Incredible pressure. And he's coming off of a scorching hot back 9 yesterday when he was on fire. And was the case with Justin Rose after his opening round 65, Matsuyama likely to cool off. We call it regression to the mean. Some of us do in betting circles. So the question, can he stay calm? Can he avoid the blow-up round? A lot of cliche-ridden questions. So Matsuyama will likely be spinning in a number of different directions, getting up this morning because he probably didn't sleep very well last night on the eve of his first major championship, possibly. And he's never been in this position before in his long and decorated career. But as we said earlier, odds makers and bettors alike look at this guy as someone who's never lived up to expectations. Quite a bit like Greg Norman. So the question of the day is, will Matsuyama finish the drill and maintain a 4-shot lead going into the final round? Or will he join the likes of Jean Van de Velde and our guy Greg Norman and choke on the world's biggest stage only to fade into oblivion? If I were a betting man, I think I'd take the field today. I really would. Why? Because history tells us it's happened before. And if you're going to give us odds of serious value, it might happen again today. And that's the bottom line. ESPN Radio 1392.5. The Bottom Line with Brad Taylor, presented by StableDuel. Sports talk from a handicapping perspective. In case you missed it last night, the Reds pulled an anti-Kevin Costner and effed with a winning streak. So the Reds' 6-game winning streak now over. And as we discussed yesterday, the Reds 6-2 on the season now, but they've been favored out in the desert 7 times. So if you really look at it from a handicapping perspective like we do, the Reds aren't equaling the expectations of our friends out in the desert. Our friends out in the desert said they should be 7-1 this year. They're 6-2. Don't forget, they had those 3 games against the Pirates, the worst team in baseball earlier in the year. But yes, the Reds are playing well. They're hitting the ball, other than Joey Votto, they're hitting the ball great. But none of that, matters to the people in the desert. We're just trying to cover spreads and trying to cash tickets today. So the Reds still sitting 6-2, leading the National League Central by 1 game over the Cardinals and 2 games over the Brewers, our pick to win the National League Central in the preseason. But sadly for the Reds, the magic is over for Tyler Babe Ruth Naquin. He only went 2 for 5 last night and is only hitting .333 on the year now, and he's stuck on 5 home runs. Might want to trade him now while his value's still high because he's going in a slump, it looks like. But the Reds actually hit the ball last night despite losing. They got 12 hits, but they only got 3 runs on those 12 hits. And Eugenio Suarez hit his 2nd home run in the season, but in typical Eric Davis fashion, it was towards the end of the game when the outcome was pretty much already decided. Suarez now up to 200 on his batting average for the season, but our guy Joey Votto is still the worst offensive player on this team, and he's still batting 3rd every night. With everyone in the lineup hitting around him, how long is it till he's moved down in the lineup? How long is it till he's being forced to move down in the lineup? Just saying. Starting pitcher last night, Jeff Hoffman, reverted back to his old Coors Field form with 3 earned runs and 9 base runners in 4 1/3 innings. Most of that damage coming in the Diamondbacks' 5-run fifth that basically wrapped up the game for them. We discussed yesterday how Arizona had a lot of value in this game. We hope you got on them last night. So Reds and Diamondbacks again today, 3:40 here on ESPN Radio 1392.5. These two non-division foes have split their 2 games of this series. The Reds won the opener. Diamondbacks won last night as underdogs. In today's rubber match, the Reds trot out Jose De Leon, 3.60 ERA on the season, and the Diamondbacks give the ball to Luke Weaver, 4.76 ERA on the season. This line opened with the Reds listed as a short favorite, about 120. The public takes one look at the won-loss records for these teams, and like we say, everybody loves the 0 last week. You think the Reds are the much and the highly superior team. However, despite a majority of the bets laying the chalk with the Reds, we've seen the Reds line fall from 120 to minus 115. And some shops might be inching closer to pick 'em before a game starts. This signals sharp reverse line movement on the Diamondbacks because they're getting close to a pick 'em here. Diamondbacks have value as a home dog, and we could also be looking at a high-scoring game in this one with 2 unproven pitchers this year, total 9. Over for the Reds is 7-1 this year, 5-4 for the D-backs. Jose De Leon for the Reds, he has 5 career starts. 4 of those were with the Dodgers, 1 with the Reds. His teams are 3-2 in his career starts, but he's lost you money out in the desert, mainly because he was such a heavy favorite when he pitched for the Dodgers back in the day. Luke Weaver of the Diamondbacks, he's been around longer than you think. He was part of the Paul Goldschmidt trade a couple of years ago. But he's had much better days in St. Louis than he's had in Arizona. With the Cardinals, Weaver was 24-23 in his starts. The Cardinals were in his starts. But Weaver starts with Arizona. Arizona is 10-15 when Luke Weaver starts for them. That's 40%. And if you put $1 on him blindly every time he started for Arizona, you'd be down $4.01. That's a minus 16% return on investment. That's not good at all. So although the Reds are probably the better team in today's matchup in Arizona, the Diamondbacks are probably the better play. You got the home team, a more proven starting pitcher, a bullpen with a rested closer and setup man, and that home team is an underdog. So if you're a fan, go ahead and take the Reds, but we'll probably be on the Diamondbacks today because they're in a better spot. They have the better odds. And as Gordon Gekko taught us years ago, don't let emotion get in the way of your decision-making process. And you have to be able to be on your team one night and against them the next night and not blink an eye. That's why we have Arizona over the Reds today, and that's the bottom line. ESPN Radio 1392.5, Bottom Line with Brad Taylor, presented by StableDuel. Sports talk from a handicapping perspective. Coming up next, the most profitable segment in Lexington radio, our Mac Daddy Stogie Picks, brought to you by our friends at Jake's Cigar Bar. But first, our friends at StableDuel, go download their app today. They've got you can get all your action down at Keeneland and every other racetrack in America. But they're offering some great deals and some great contests at Keeneland during the meet the next couple weeks. So go download their app or check them out online, StableDuel.com. That's our good friends at StableDuel. Download their app today.
Prince Cuts is open 7 days a week, and all the staff are undergoing weekly COVID testing. Fades, tapers, shaves, facials, and much more. Now hiring braiders and locticians. Open till 10 p.m. daily or later with an appointment. You can book conveniently online at PrinceCuts.com or download our Apple or Google Prince Cuts app. We are kid-friendly with gaming consoles and the best staff. Prince Cuts, a cut fit for a prince. Located on Richmond Road.
Hey Tam, have you heard of Elite Graphics?
Yes, they're a local one-stop shop for any company's quality printing and business development needs.
They offer e-commerce and fulfillment solutions, printing, engraving, t-shirts, corporate promotional products, direct mail, and so much more.
They'll even store your products at their location. And the best part is they'll beat any first order price by 10%. Where could we get life-size cutouts of ourselves for Kentucky Taste Buds?
Oh, that's easy. We need to call Elite Graphics. They offer everything.
Oh yeah, and if we order
ESPN Radio, 1300, 92.5. The Bottom Line with Brad Taylor. Presented by StableDuel, sports talk from a handicapping perspective. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning. I was just handed a note by our crack staff here at the Bottom Line, the crack staff being me, that the biggest final round comeback in Masters history is 8 shots by somebody named Jack Burke Jr. in 1956. So is it possible for someone to come from 8 shots behind in the final round to win? Yes, it is. It's not likely, but it's possible. And of course, Nick Faldo, the year that Greg Norman choked, he was 6 shots back going into the final round. So yes, is it possible for some of these other golfers that are not within 4 shots to win? It is possible mathematically, but it's not very likely. That's why. But I still think Matsuyama probably not your best choice today. But if you're picking games out in the desert, Major League Baseball yesterday, favorites and underdogs, they both split. If you're an underdog player, that's good because you got a lot of bang for your buck. Favorites in Major League Baseball, 62 and 55 this year. That's not very good if you're playing the favorites. The underdog players really cashing in this year. But for right now, it's the most profitable segment in Lexington Radio, our Mac Daddy Stogie picks. We gave you 2 out of 2 underdogs yesterday. And, of course, our picks now presented by Jake's Cigar Bar. What better way to celebrate a winning pick out in the desert than to have a big stogie at Jake's Cigar Bar? It's the best way to relax and reward yourself for a job well done. They have private rooms there now, so if you really want the special treatment, private bartenders, just contact our good friends Jake and Autumn over there at Jake's Cigar Bar. They will set you up as classy as you'll ever be treated in a cigar bar. But our picks for today, we like the Diamondbacks over the Reds. You're getting an underdog value. We gave you the Rays over the Yankees yesterday. Don't like them as much today. A couple of games today we like in Major League Baseball before we get to some golf matchups later on in the show. Colorado at San Francisco. Colorado 3-6, San Francisco 5-3 on the season. This game is we're looking at the Giants in this one. You're looking at some close odds, and the Giants really playing at home. The respected money has already come down on the Giants in this one. The line's at 120. But anything under 125, we'll take with the Giants today. Low total, that means more focus on the favorite. And anytime you see a division game like this with a low favorite at home, those favorites have been cashing tickets. We'll take the Giants today over the Rockies. Herman Marquez for Colorado. And an old friend for the Giants, Anthony DeSclafani. Where's he been lately? Could the Reds use him right now? Yeah, they could. He has a 1.80 ERA so far this season. So, we're going to be on DeSclafani out in San Francisco today. Doesn't look right seeing him out there, but we'll take him. And then Sunday Night Baseball, Phillies at Braves. Braves got off to a terrible start, but they're back now to 4-4. Phillies leading the division over there, 5-3. The old Sunday Night Baseball showdown. The National League East, of course, it's a rematch of the 1993 NLCS. We all remember that one. Yeah, Kurt Schilling and Greg Maddux not walking through that door. Matt Moore, who's been around for seemingly a decade, he's only 31 years old, he's still pitching. He had a great future with the Rays about a decade ago. Where's he at now? He's just a left-handed salad tosser at this one. Braves turn to Drew Smiley in this one. Sharps back in the Braves to complete the sweep, and the Braves are up to -160. That's a big number. Home favorites -150 on the year or more. They're 24-14. That's 63%. And teams with the line move in their favor, they're 60% on the season so far, 35-23. And as we've seen in the past, Sunday Night Baseball, home favorites, they cash in 62% of the time over the last decade. So the Braves, you're got to lay a little bit of a number tonight, about 150 or so. That's about our limit as favorites, what we'll take. We'll take the Braves to try to get back in this division race, if you want to call it that so early in the season. Braves over Phillies tonight, Sunday Night Baseball. A lot of history on your side, and a lot of pitching on the other side with the Phillies. Matt Moore, 5.40 ERA, and he's not exactly lining it up. We'll take Braves and Giants as our Mac Daddy Stogies to go along with the Diamondbacks. Those are your Mac Daddy Stogies, brought to you by Jake's Cigar Bar. Go cash these tickets and then go have a cigar at Jake's Cigar Bar. They'll treat you like royalty there, just like they treat us. But coming up after the break, if you really want to get your gamble on today, it's Brian Howard with StableDuel. He will tell us who to take out at Keeneland, and he will tell us who not to take out at Keeneland. He needs to help me because my picks weren't that good. Other than his, my picks weren't that good yesterday. So he's going to have to help us after the break right here on ESPN Radio 1300 and 92.5. ESPN Radio 1300, 92.5. We're taking care of business here on the Bottom Line with Brad Taylor, presented by StableDuel. Sports talk from a handicapping perspective. And speaking of handicappers, we have a guy on the line right now who's going to help us handicap the card today at Keeneland. He's our good friend Brian Howard of StableDuel. Brian, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Brad. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, I'm going to give you a break on yesterday's picks now because the horse you gave us was a scratch. So, okay, nothing ventured, nothing lost on that one. We have new listeners every day on this show. So remind us again what you guys offer at StableDuel. Tell us about your app and the contest that you offer all the gamblers out there.
All right. Once again, we're a daily fantasy style app. A lot of people are familiar with daily fantasy football where you select a team with a certain salary cap, and that's exactly what we offer except for horse racing. So you can go in, you can pick your 10 horses on a race card under the salary cap. The horses' prices are based on their morning line odds. So, again, you're looking for some value, but you want to have some stars in there as well.
That's a good core. And let's talk game theory for a minute. you talk value. We always talk about value in, especially in these fantasy contests. But I mean, when you're trying to pick winners, you're always looking for value. In this game, is it better to take the favorites or is it better to take the big long shots? Because just like in real life, you want to take the long shots that win, but that doesn't always mean good in your case, because in your game, taking a bad horse that doesn't finish or finishes way behind, it can be punished.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's a lot of different strategies you can take. I like to look for long shots in short fields or live long shots that I think have a chance of running in the top 5 to get the positive points. But there are cases where if there's a horse that I really love that is the favorite that I think can win, like the last race at Keeneland yesterday, I think the horse won by 10 3/4 lengths. If you can find a short price horse that you think's going to do that, you have to play it.
Now, see, why don't you tell me these things in advance instead of letting me hang out to dry on this stuff and just watching me lose? If you could help me with this stuff, Brian Howard, it really would help me to try to cash some tickets. I got to beat Dead Air Dennis down the hallway. He just laughs at me every day. He's seen me all week because I can't beat him at this game. But that's all right. We're going to change our luck this coming week thanks to your picks. And speaking of your picks, give us your best value plays and your best picks of the day for today's Keeneland card.
Okay. I've got a value play I'll start you with because you're probably going to hammer me for how much you're going to spend on the next pick. But in the 6th race, there's a horse, the 5 horse, Marvelous Moondance. It's morning line 12-1. That'll cost you $750 on your stable on StableDuel. He actually presents one of my favorite angles to play in maiden races, where first start out had a very slow start or an awkward beginning and kind of got left at the gate. And a lot of times you'll see horses just kind of run evenly and finish way back in that. Well, this horse did move up a little bit and, didn't just get run off the track. So I'm hoping today that it gets a little bit better break at the beginning and breaks with the field. And if he does, I think he provides tremendous value at 12-1.
Okay, that's your best.
So
okay,
that's my value pick.
All right.
So here's my best pick of the day.
There we go.
In the 8th race, there's a horse named Palace Avenger, the 2 horse. It's 8-5 on the morning line. It's going to cost you $9,400 in your stable. But this is like what I talked about. I looked at favorites all day trying to find one that I thought could just put a field away and would be worth the money. And this is the one that stuck out the most. He outclasses this field by a mile. You got Wesley Ward, Irad Ortiz. The horse is dropping in class. My only concern is he's off a little bit of a layoff, but I'm not too concerned about it because, again, his class level is so much above these. He should run pretty easy out front and have it his way.
All right. So to recap, Brian Howard of StableDuel's best plays of the day. If you're looking for value, let's go to the 6th race, number 5, Marvelous Moondance, 12-1. And in the 8th race, we're looking for Palace of Injure at 8-5. So we feel good about those. Is that what you're telling me, Brian Howard?
I feel very good about those. I've placed a couple wagers on those already today.
Oh, that's what we like. See, now if you back these with your own money, that's a whole different story than just some loudmouth coming on the radio. Yeah, take the 4 in the 7th race. No big deal. That's a lock. Yeah, it's a big difference in just going out and throwing numbers with no it's like those NFL pregame shows. And those guys make those picks. They're not held accountable for those, but we are here on the bottom line, and you'll be held accountable too, Brian Howard. I can promise you that. How'd your outing go?
Sounds good.
How'd your outing go yesterday? And are you guys anywhere today?
No, we're not anywhere today. Yesterday was great. I mean, obviously the weather was terrible here in Lexington, so we were inside. But a lot of positive response, a lot of people watching the races, having fun with this. I mean, we sat at the table and we gambled since we can't play the game as workers for StableDuel. So we just gamble all day while everyone else plays StableDuel, and it became a big thing.
We just gamble all day. Boy, that's a sentence that we love to hear here on this show. He's Brian Howard of StableDuel. Brian, tell us where we can find you on social media and tell us all about everything you guys offer real quick before we let you go. Okay, you can find StableDuel on Twitter at StableDuel, and you can find me on Twitter at Brian Howard SD. And anytime, our DMs are always open, so if you have any questions or any feedback, feel free to DM us or tweet at us, and we'll get back with you. Yeah, Brian is great on social media. He and I go back and forth from time to time. He's knows what he's doing. He loves what he's doing, and they got a great product over there, StableDuel. I've played every single day of the Keeneland meet. haven't done very well, but it's fun to play and to follow the races, especially when, you need a little action. Everybody wants a little horse action this time of year, especially leading up to the Derby. And we know you'll have a lot of Derby stuff coming up, and we'll have you on to talk about that too. Brian Howard of StableDuel, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And as we always say on this show, may the winners be yours today, my friend.
Thanks for having me, man.
Anytime, buddy. Thank you. That's Brian Howard, StableDuel. Hopefully he gave you some winners today. Marvelous Moon Dance and Palace of Injure. Those are your value plays, using those terms very loosely. Going into today's Keeneland action, make sure to download their app, StableDuel.com. Download them on your phone, and you'll be set to win some big cash prizes today. That's what we all like here on the Bottom Line. Big cash prizes. Still looking for mine in that StableDuel, but hey, it's not easy, or else everybody would do it, right? Bottom Line with Brad Taylor, presented by StableDuel. Sports talk from a handicapping perspective. Coming up after the break, we have a real treat as worlds collide here. We're going to talk Masters Sunday. We're going to talk golf. We're going to talk with our horse racing. We're going to talk with our golf expert here at ESPN Radio, Matthew Laurance. He hosts his own golf show. He's going to talk to us about Masters Sunday, who to take, who not to take, his takes on the tournament so far with and without Tiger Woods. He'll give you his take on the Masters so far. But first, we always say it here on the Bottom Line, a friend in need is a friend indeed. But here on this show, a friend in need is a pest. IPM Pest and Termite, our good friend Matt Schaefer. They are the best in the business at getting rid of the pests and termites in your home. Maybe not your family or friends, but the other pests. They will get rid of them for you. So go look them up online, myipm.com. I couldn't recommend them anymore. Your neighborhood pest professional. That's our friend Matt Schaefer and IPM Pest and Termite, myipm.com, myipm.com. ESPN Radio, 1300, 92.5. Bottom Line with Brad Taylor, presented by StableDuel. Sports talk from a handicapping perspective. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning. Well, it's the biggest golf day of the season, Masters Sunday. There is no bigger time for the golf world. So what better time to bring in our next guest, who's coming to us live from a 19th hole on an undisclosed golf course somewhere here in Lexington, Kentucky, or Central Kentucky. We don't know. He's our resident golf expert here at ESPN Radio. You can hear him on Backspin Golf Sunday mornings at 8, and you can hear him every weekday, 4 o'clock, The Drive, with him, Jimmy, and Sean/Chuck. But to us, he'll always be that scoundrel Mel Silver from Beverly Hills 90210. He's our own Matthew Laurance. Matthew, did you hit him straight this morning?
No, I actually just started, and I'm happy to say I'm only 4 over, which is great.
Only 4 over. We don't know how many holes that's through, but hey, we don't need to know that.
I played 1 hole.
Oh, so, okay.
I was going to say it, but you got there first.
Well,
how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking time out of your round this morning, which is much more important than coming on the radio.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. Hey, there's no Tiger this year in the Masters, and by the way,
I'm bummed.
Are you really? Is it a different?
Yeah.
Is it different for you watching the Masters without Tiger?
Yes, it is, and not only me, but so many people on Twitter yesterday too. It's just a completely different feeling. Even the times he's been hurt and he's been out, and it's different when he's not there. I mean, all you got to do is look at 2019 and see that Masters and him winning again, and how supercharged the whole golf world was about it. I'm glad he's recovering. That's all I care about. If he never plays another Masters, I'm fine. As long as he gets well and has a normal life with his kids, I'm fine with that after his accident. But it's just different. It's just different without him. It's still great, still the Masters, but it's different.
It's no coincidence when they went to rain delay yesterday, they went straight to that Tiger Woods victory he had a couple years ago as a replay. So that's no coincidence. Yes.
And I'm telling you, it's very funny. A friend of mine on Twitter said every single weather delay this year on the PGA Tour, they should just play the 2019 Masters. It was amazing.
It was like the U.S. Open tennis when Jimmy Connors in 1991.
Right.
Every time they had a rain delay for the next 20 years, they went back to Jimmy Connors 1991. It was incredible. Hideki Matsuyama, 4-shot lead going into the final round. We led the show referencing Greg Norman's 6-shot lead all the way back in 1996, 25 long years ago, if you could believe that. So we've seen a bigger lead blown in this tournament than the one that Matsuyama has today. Out in the desert, Matsuyama minus 120, odds-on favorite to win this tournament. Would you take that, or would you take the field in this spot, Matthew Laurance?
Well, as much as, and I love Hideki. I just think it's great. And what it would do for golf in Japan would be stratospheric. I'm going to take the field today.
I would too.
I just think that we all saw what happened with Justin Rose on Thursday. Out of his mind, 9 birdies in 11 holes, and he shot 65. For Hideki, now really all Hideki has to do today maybe is shoot 70 or 69, and it'll be tough to catch him. But at Augusta, we've all seen it. One bad swing. Justin Thomas, top 5 in the world, had 81 yards in on 13 yesterday and made an 8 on a par 5. It takes one bad swing. If Hideki somehow the first 3, 4, 5 holes drops a couple of shots, that lets a whole other group of guys back in. And we never know what's going to happen on Sunday at the Masters. So I would, here's the thing with me, and I've said it on Backspin and on the Drive. As long as those 2 guys that I can't stand are not contending and I don't have to watch them, and I call them affectionately the bulk and the cheater, as long as those 2 guys are not there, ever wins today. whatever story comes out of it, Will Zalatoris is an incredible story. Justin Rose, the way he's hung around after his first day, has been amazing. Any of these guys, maybe Jordan goes out and shoots 64 today. Who knows? Whatever happens, I'm going to be happy. But I know how hard it will be for Hideki to do what he did yesterday, 2 days in a row, especially today being the final round.
You say the bulk and the cheater. I'm going to assume it's Bryson DeChambeau for the bulk, but who's the cheater?
Patrick Reed.
Oh, yes,
Although
Patrick Reed. Yes.
I hate to say his name.
Okay.
It makes me...
I apologize. Yes, he is a cheater. Yes, I was just trying to get your terminology down from the golf forum there. I apologize for missing that obvious.
That's all right.
Yes. Just ask his family if he cheats or not. I'm sure they'll tell you. We look at the rest of these matchups today. So you say Matsuyama. We were comparing him with Greg Norman earlier. Greg Norman, classic underachiever in the golf world. And a lot of the kind of insiders like you say Matsuyama's kind of an underachiever in his career. Would you say that too?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
We got to remember he's still only 29. I mean, look how long it took Mickelson to win his first major. In terms of, Matsuyama won the Players' Championship. He's won big tournaments all over the world. Remember, it was 10 years ago that he was in Butler Cabin as the low amateur in the Masters. And he's had a great career. Has he finished some of these tournaments? No, but it's golf. I mean, all of us are so caught up. It's like in basketball, well, does he have a ring? Dan Marino, I wouldn't say was an underachiever, even though he never won a Super Bowl. I mean, and that's kind of what's happened with all sports. I think it's happened with Hideki a little bit, but he's had a great career, and I guarantee you he will win a major or more before he's through. He's only 29. He's just coming into his prime now, and we saw what he's capable of yesterday. He's had trouble with his putter for a long time, and he has been working on different things with a different coach, and if he putts like he did yesterday, he's going to win a ton more because his ball striking, his demeanor, everything about him is world class. So I wouldn't say he's underachieved. I think at one time I might have said that, but the older I've gotten and the more sports that we all watch and everything, I think it's kind of a term that's used a little too much. And I certainly wouldn't say Matsuyama is an underachiever. No.
I see the Dan Marino reference you made, but that's a team sport compared to an individual sport, and there's a big difference in winning the TPC and going into the final round of the Masters with a 4-shot lead. There's a big difference in that. But the way you look, when you named Mickelson a minute ago, when I think of Phil Mickelson, it's exactly like you think of Patrick Reed and DeChambeau. Just ask Billy Walters. That's another story for another day. So if you're looking for maybe a matchup today, we look at that final round pairing. Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele. Schauffele's actually a favorite out in the desert to win this matchup of those two today.
If I was going to say, if I had to pick one guy other than the field, I would pick Xander.
Right.
I think he's totally poised to do this, and he's another one. We all know his talent. He has the perfect demeanor to do this. And if I had to pick one guy out of this group that's 4 behind going into today, I would take Xander if I had to pick one guy. I think he's got a really good chance. He's playing in that group with Hideki, as you said, and if Hideki makes a mistake, we could see a 2-shot swing pretty quickly. If Hideki makes bogey and Xander makes birdie, he's only down 2. Anything can happen. So I pick him if I had to pick one guy. Those guys in the desert are smart.
Yeah, they are, and they have right now. They have Schauffele as a second favorite. Other than Matsuyama, he is the next in line to win this tournament. Are there any other pairings that pique your interest today? I'm always a big Tony Finau guy, especially at the Masters. He always plays well down there. Anybody else? You mentioned Jordan Spieth earlier. Any of these guys more than 4 shots off the pace? Could they make a run at this thing today?
Well, I don't know about more than, but my favorite story of all of them is Will Zalatoris. by far, because his story is absolutely incredible. He was 2000th in the world a couple of years ago. Somehow made it to the Korn Ferry Tour, was number one on the Korn Ferry Tour, got an invitation to the U.S. Open, finished sixth at the U.S. Open, which got him into this Masters. Now, listen to this. He's got a 27-inch waist, Brad.
Wow.
I mean, he's like a fifth grader. All you got to do is look at him out there. And when he was at Wake Forest a long time ago, not that long ago, his coach said he's one of the best ball strikers in the world right now. And we've seen it. He's got no nerves. Somebody asked him if he was intimidated being there with all these big names. And his answer was, why should I be intimidated? I'm already here.
Right.
I mean, he's just the coolest. He's a kid, really. And I think it's the best story of the Masters this year. And boy, I can't even imagine what it would be like if somehow he pulls this off today. But he's my favorite guy. He's the guy I'm really going to be watching.
Final question for Matthew Laurance of Backspin Golf in the Drive, weekday afternoons here on ESPN Radio. You said Matsuyama, you'd take the field. Who wins this thing? Who's putting on the green jacket at the end of the day?
Xander
Schauffele is the winner, according to our ESPN Radio golf expert. Go get your action down now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's why they built the big billion-dollar casinos in the desert. Matthew Laurance of Backspin Golf, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your Masters Sunday preview. We really appreciate it. Thank you for taking time out of your busy morning on the links to talk to us about this. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure, Brad. Great show, as always.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, see you.
All right. That's Matthew Laurance of ESPN Radio here. We really appreciate his time this morning. We know he didn't have to stop his round midway through the round. So we thank him. He says take Xander Schauffele to win the tournament. I would take the field. I don't think I would single out Schauffele, but I think I would take the field. I hate to agree with Laurance on stuff like this, but I will take the field today in this one. ESPN Radio 1392.5. Thank you for joining us this morning. Bottom Line with Brad Taylor, presented by StableDuel. Sports talk from a handicapping perspective. Don't forget today on ESPN Radio, top of the hour, it's the Angelo Show. I'm sure he's getting excited over the NFL draft coming up. I'm sure they have a lot on that. 3:40 today, Reds and Diamondbacks from Arizona. Reds a minus 120 favorite right now. Arizona's got a little bit of value in this one, if you ask us. And then tonight, Sunday Night Baseball, rematch of the 1993 NLCS, Phillies and Braves. No, it's not Kurt Schilling and Greg Maddux. It's Matt Moore versus Drew Smyly from Atlanta. Braves a nice favorite in this one, but we think they'll take them down. So, yeah, that's what the desert tells us. Thanks again for listening. You can email anytime, bottomlinelex@gmail.com, and you can follow us on Twitter @bottomlinelex. And as always, until the next time, may the winners be yours.